Okay, Police Constable, welcome to part 4 of my research document in relation to Donald Trump and the Stargate project. We were on page 61. Just going to go now page 62. Now, we've just mentioned Universal companies linking in from Stargate Autos that dissolved 6 days before Donald Trump became the president on the 20th of January 2025. And it immediately links in now to the research of the attacks on the 7th of October 2023 in Israel. Okay, and that was research that I had done, and you could just about see it, Universal International Studios. This is the document in relation to the Israel attacks, and that starts from the Nova Music Festivals where that attack happened. And I suspect that was all staged. I've actually spoken to somebody else who's seen a video, and some of you may have seen it, that there's a video talking through that event and showing how it was staged and how artificial intelligence was used and special effects was used to make it appear as though it was happening. I'm just going by what somebody has told me. But I 100% believe that was staged to try and bring about an apocalyptic deception against humanity. And it's all been timed now since the exposure of this fraud in 2022, when they realized that it's all going to come out. They started to put things in motion. They started with the special military operation by Vladimir Putin, who was also involved in all of this against Ukraine. And various other things were triggered and happened ever since because they realized they were fully exposed. So I publicised this evidence of the Israeli attacks of the Nova Music Festival coming back into Export Manor Freehold Limited, linking into the same deceptive, fraudulent crime and criminal system. And I publicised it on January the 12th. And this is a screenshot taken from my Telegram channel. You can see it, Israel attack, 7th of October 2023. This is my video showing the document, okay, at the top of it. So that was, remember the date, the 12th of January. Here's me carrying on, and I then, on the 14th of January, publicised this news article that comes out, and I put a BBC article today. I doubt the timing of this and the release of my relevant evidence are coincidence. Trump is not a saviour, and a huge part of the deception and crimes against humanity being closely linked to the fraud via his Scottish golf clubs and to the company I was removed as a director. He also has significant Scottish connections. Ask yourselves why no one is calling for a transparent financial system at source where the masses can be the auditors, along with full verification of company and corporations to ensure full accountability and liability. They are all in on it. I believe these are now the only transitional resolutions, along with some of the other measures. Now their crimes are fully exposed. Lose your fear and end this now. So that was on the 14th, and this is the article that came out. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail. This is that article with the BBC, and it's what we know about the Gaza ceasefire deal, 14th of January 2025. So what I'm trying to say is I publicised my evidence of the Nova Music Festival linking into the crime and that attack being staged, and suddenly, as I'm exposing it, there's a peace deal and there's hostages then being exchanged. That is not a coincidence, everybody. They are watching everything I'm doing. Telegram, where I'm posting this, is actually created by Vistra. Let me just show you that. So here's a screenshot taken from the company's house registration system, just typing in Telegram, and it comes up with multiple entries, but there's one here. You can see, where is it? At the bottom there, top there. Vistra, see that? BVI, British Virgin Islands offshore account, Vistra. Here is a screenshot from that company, and you can see 85 Great Portland Street. That links into the fraud. And on the incorporation document, you have Vistra, BVI, Corporate Services in the Virgin Islands. Here's another one, Telegram Limited. Telegrams Limited is there going into their overview. Created in 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster. And it's linked to Finchley Road fraud. 788, 790 Finchley Road, Keith Kahan go and research Finchley Road fraud. You'll see that links to international dictatorships and mafia and corrupt politicians and defrauding through the taxation system. And here's Vistra Limited. Remember, we're talking about Vistra company, created in 1965, the year before the first Satanic Church. And it had previous names of Jordan's Limited and Jordan's and Sons, as we've talked about. It's a fraudulent entity company because on the incorporation document it has Hammerplag, which has never been registered on that record. Criminal. So that just shows you they will be watching absolutely everything on my Telegram channel. So this prompted, I suspect, Donald Trump and those behind all of this crime and fraud to release these hostages. Now, which will be part of a staged deception. Okay, it was all a false staged deception to make everyone believe this was all going on so that we buy into whatever it is they try and sell us through this deceptive criminal system. So when you start search on Google and put Stargate LLC, it brings up these companies. Okay, so we're going to look at Stargate Limited. And it was incorporated in 2002 after the World Trade Center disaster. And it dissolved in 2020 during lockdown. On the incorporation document, Jordan's, although you can't read that very well, there's Jordan's. And what's on the bottom here? Apex Company. So Apex, which is shown on the right here. It's one I haven't seen much before. What does Apex mean? Well, it means the top or highest part of something, especially one forming a point or an apex of the roof, the highest point of achievement, a climax. Reach a high point or climax. Or you have apex predator, also known as the top predator or super predator, is a predator at the top of a food chain without natural predators of its own. So basically, I suspect that's another symbology of these people thinking they are the bee's knees, better than everybody else, but they're doing everything through crime and deception. So it's cheating, isn't it? Not only is it cheating, it's criminal, and it's satanic. I mean, there's no other really word for it, to be honest with you, to deceive people to such an extent and allow the facilitation of child abuse and child trafficking. So here's Apex Company Services that was on that, and we have another tax link here. You can see on the right, SA Self-Assessment Limited. Those that are self-employed will know that you have to do a self-assessment each year to do with tax, paying your tax. Okay, so it's massively linked to the taxation system. All of this crime and fraud, you can't pay it anymore until there's a safeguarded, transparent system in place. It was incorporated in 1998, 3 years before the World Trade Center disaster. And one of the directors within there, that Apex company, sorry, not one of the directors, some of the companies. First of all, you have Caribbean Tourism on the left, organisation UK and Europe. Just thought that was interesting, these luxury holidays that all these criminals are going on. And on the right, you have X-Force Security and Facility Management Services Limited. X-Force. Elon Musk loves that, doesn't he? His X companies. And we're going to be talking about at some point the Planet X deception that they're going to be using as well as an apocalyptic event. Deception. Here's X-Force Security and Facility Management Services. And interestingly, very interestingly, in fact, look at their previous company names. And one of them was Pegasus Security and Facility Management Limited. Pegasus features in the research a lot, actually. And if you go and research it, you'll see that it's an Israeli intelligence company, or links to the Israel intelligence agency. So that's X-Force Security and Facility Services. And on the incorporation document, you have Apex Company Services, which we've just mentioned. So here's Apex Services Company Services Limited that comes up. And it appears to be a forged incorporation document. You can see down the side, not very clear on here, but there's part of the lines, but the lines don't go right across the box. That should have horizontal lines going all the way across that where the writing is, but they're gone. But the writing is still there, very, very legible. That suggests that is a forged document, a crime against humanity. And there's another example of it just on this side. It's just a little bit clearer there. You can see in the boxes there, where you've got the clear outer edge of the lines where they start, but then it's really faded. And this one you can see the lines, some of them, but the writing is still very, very clear, which suggests it's forged. Within that company, you have this person links to Atlas Safety Group. And within Atlas Safety Group, you links to Fire Industry Association companies. Gold Dollar Limited, Bank of Philippine Islands, Skynet. Those of you who don't know what Skynet is, it was in the Terminator 2 Judgment Day movie. Okay, bearing in mind we're talking about artificial intelligence with the Stargate project. You also have Playboy Racing, showing a link to the sex industry or pornography industry. And then you have Synergy company, Independent Land Acquisitions. And then this one I found interesting. Sometimes you'll see this where they've changed the company name and given it literally a number as a company name. Well, this one's in liquidation. And this one was started in April 2001. Okay, not long before Larry Silverstein purchased the lease for the World Trade Center building. And you look what it was called, Devastation Limited. And then they changed its name in 2005, 4 years after the World Trade Center disaster. And it's now only just in liquidation as they're realizing they're being fully exposed. On the incorporation document, you have Form 10. You can't read that very well, but Form 10 is linked to the fraud. So the other company that comes up when you search Stargate LLC on Google is Stargate UK Limited. Here's Stargate UK Limited. And that links on the incorporation document. Don't know how clearly you can see that. Finchley Road Ford, 788 to 790 Finchley Road. Within that company, this person on the left, Junior Cycli, is it? Born in 1972, the year after the World Economic Forum. But remember, there's no verification in Companies House. All right, they're allowing false details, but they are putting the evidence is all the way shown through what they've been up to for the right person to come along and expose it. But they link to Firstgate UK Limited. And then on the left, within Firstgate UK Limited, you have a very unique name. Okay, so there should be one record for this person. Bearing in mind it's the middle name as well. Very unusual. And Companies House have created duplicate records. Okay, and then when you go into one of the other duplicate records, that's when you start hitting loads of evidence of fraud. And this is an example going into one of the other records. So one record has one company under this name, but you go into one of the other duplication records by searching it, and it has 4 records. Okay, and one of those companies links to another Khan. I suspect that's a false name used, because when you go into Khan, you then have over 1,000 companies on the left, and on the right you have Matrix Digital Limited, and then you have sex companies, loads of different sex companies, Sex Files Limited, Sex Europe Limited, just to name a few. Now that's the end of the Donald Trump Stargate project document, but let's have a little look at Donald Trump as well himself. Now I took these screenshots before Donald Trump became the president, the latest time, so it's not going to be fully up to date, but we'll get the gist from it. It says Donald John Trump, born the 14th of June 1946, is an American politician, media personality and businessman who serves as the 45th president of the United States from 2017 to 2021. His political affiliations, according to this, interestingly, from 1999 to 2001, the World Trade Center disaster was Reform. And then Independent from 2011 to 2012. 12 is obviously an important year that we'll come to in one of my next videos. Now, Rudy Giuliani, probably pronounced that completely wrong, was the mayor of New York at the time of the World Trade Center disaster's collapse. Now, he links to the fraud via the research that I've already done in relation to the World Trade Center disaster. Further down here, it says, after advising Donald Trump during his 2016 presidential campaign and early administration, Galini joined President Trump's personal legal team in April 2018, remaining on it during the 2022 presidential election. His activities as Trump's attorney have led to allegations that he engaged in corruption and profiteering. In 2019, he was a central figure in the Trump-Ukraine scandal. Following the 2020 election, he presented Trump in many lawsuits filed in attempts to overturn the election results. According to research, in 2006, Trump purchased a 1,400-acre plot just north of Aberdeen at Menny in Scotland, with the intention of turning it into a £1 billion a golf resort and the world's best golf course, capable of hosting world-class events such as the Open Championship. Trump International Golf Links in Scotland. Trump International Golf Links Scotland is a golf course in Aberdeenshire, Scotland, owned by Donald Trump and opened in 2012 again. Company's house records appears to be for Donald Trump here. Trump Hotel St Andrews Limited, dissolved in 2010, based in Scotland. Corporation documents, Dun Wilco and Dundas and Wilson CS LLP. Here's Dundas and Wilson CS Limited and Dundas and Wilson CS LLP, dissolved as I'm exposing the fraud in 2023. Here's the company, dissolved June 2023, even though it was incorporated in 2004. So they're panicking and closing all of the companies down. Within that company, you have Stephen Miller, 1972, a year after the World Economic Forum, appointed in October, 2 months before the outbreak of the COVID in Wuhan. He's linked to Nabarro LLP. Also CMS Cameron McKenna Holdings. Also Sold Out Limited. Bearing in mind what we are talking about, satanic cults at the top of this. Sold Out. This is my directed energy weapons document. And you can see exactly the same company, Nabarro LLP, features. Same company, Sold Out Limited, had already been evidenced in the document, and the threat to humanity from directed energy systems. That was on page 102. You can see in the bottom right hand corner of that document. The next page, I've just taken screenshots, 103, starts making links to Jimmy Savile. And that is via the company CMS Cameron McKenna Nabarro Olswang LLP. I've actually gone into the document now. You can see there's links that I've made to the Outward Bound Trust, which leads to McCameron, eventually leads to the Cameron McKenna Company. Here you have links to Ghislaine Maxwell via Farah and Co. on the document. That was on her incorporation documents. Other outward bound companies. Bryanston Freehold. And then further down on the incorporation document, you have all of these companies listed. Grand Lodge relates to the Freemasons, which we'll come to in a minute. Grand Lodge Limited. Middle Eastern Connections at the end there. Medical excellence and training to the Middle East. To that outward bound company, you have Royal Connections. Beatrice of York. A Rothschild link. Linda Rothschild and Prince Andrew. connected to that company. Via Prince Andrew, there are links to the Gordonstown Schools Limited, addressed at Buckingham Palace. That then ties in, you can see the address 2022 Wenlock Road, with companies made simple. That address is used throughout the research. That links to the World Trade Center disaster and international child trafficking via the National Council for Civil Liberties, and the removal of the company name from a very important document on Westco Nominees Limited. But this company itself is a fraudulent criminal entity. The incorporation document does not match the register. And then you have the Monks Investment Trust Public Limited Company. Those of you that have followed my evidence recently will know that that then ties in with the Russian government, the Flemings, the royal family companies, the Hakluyt Company, all tying in and linking to the apparent sexual abuse of children on islands off the coast of Wales by monks, potentially. It also links in through there to JP Morgan again. Within this company, the Prince Philip Gordonstown, the same director. So within the Gordonstown company, you have James Ferguson, date of birth 1947. No coincidence. That's the year that the United Nations signed the petition that led to the Israeli-Arab War in 1948. Going in for him, he's also linked to TSB. And within the Gordonstown company, you now have another royal connection, Princess Anne. Remember, this is all coming from the threat from directed energy on humanity. You then have a Royal Yachting Association company. Yachts are prevalent throughout the fraud because it means that they can transfer the defrauded money from the public into tangible assets such as yachts, properties, potentially luxurious holidays, cars, parties, you name it, living off of the tax contributions that people work hard to pay and exploiting and victimizing billions of people through doing so. It then leads on via a former squadron leader, Spencer, John Robert Spencer. Very likely I know who that is, and I'm sure you do as well. Links to an oil company. On the documents, you have Stephen Mabbott that features throughout the fraud. I suspect that's a false name. It's used, links to tens of thousands of companies. Also, Oswald's on there. Oswald's links to the World Trade Center disaster research. And also the Royal Military Edinburgh Tattoo and Jordan's criminal organisations. It ties in with the research of Douglas Dougie Smith on the left again, the special advisor for the last few prime ministers, and to Ben Hoochin, who is the mayor for the area of Teesside, where there was huge industrial complex fraud. Back into Arbor, we then make links to CCAB Limited, and an address that features throughout the fraud at Salisbury Square. Jordan's and Sons. The year before the Satanic Church created, that company was incorporated. Chartered Accountants Benevolent. Okay, so they've got the accountants all in on this. Centralised system of crime and fraud, exploiting the taxation system. Solicitors, barristers, the whole legal system is compromised by this. Here we have a link via Bates, Wells and Braithwaite, which was on that incorporation document here, to COVID. The COVID-19 healthcare support links into the fraud. So does AstraZeneca, so does Pfizer, so does Moderna. All part of the fraud. Also links into the World Trade Center disaster, Bates Wells Braithwaite. Links into the Madeleine McCann case and Keir Starmer. And then make links to Protocol Education Company. So remember, this is all connected to Donald Trump very, very quickly via the Dundas and Wilson Company. And link to Waterloo's, again, Freemasons. And you'll see in a minute some actual Freemason companies if you get there. London Association of Accountants Limited. Fraud, linked to Waterloo's criminal company again. You then hit Ingenious Film Partners. Okay, it's shown all the way through the research multiple times. Ingenious links to Hollywood and everything we're seeing going on at the moment there. British Pregnancy Advisory Service, okay? Because we're talking about population control, sinister population control. And here we have Population Matters. Obviously, we've got significant evidence of international child trafficking and abuse. Then we have links to the Diocesan Board of Finance, Royal Institution of Cornwall. And then within the Grand Charity, just trying to find it where it is. Oh, it's going back to, sorry, above the document was in the Grand Charity. And then this makes links now to the Masonic companies. There we are, sorry. So within the Grand Charity, James Long links to the Masonic Samaritan Fund and the Royal Masonic Trust, Masonic Charitable Services. They then link to the Association of Chief Constables in another document. And then you have Grand Lodge Limited that was mentioned on the document earlier. Here's Grand Lodge Limited, started in 2004. On the incorporation document, you have Waterloo. Further down, Waterloo again. Grand Lodge Publications Limited. And then it links into, so as you come down from Grand Lodge Publications Limited, the same director links to the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Where did Madeleine McCann go missing from? Portugal. That is, I believe, fraudulent company. It's got lots of important companies on it that link into the fraud. National Westminster Bank on the incorporation for it. Banco National, Rolls Royce on the incorporation document. Portuguese Government Trade Office. Portuguese National Tourist Office. Banco, can't read what that says. And it then links via this director now to the Italian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now this will make links to the Vatican via the Italian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That was created in 1958. Changed its name in 1996. Which ties in with the royal. The evidence suggests that the royal heirs to the throne were murdered at the end of the 1950s, early 1960s. It's a fraudulent company because the is in the wrong place. And that person within the company, Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, now we're in, Francisco Comprido, links to JP Morgan Limited. It's JP Morgan Limited was started in 1930. See all the previous names. Was called Chase Manhattan Limited. Of course, you had the Manhattan Project, okay, which was to do with supposedly nuclear weapons, supposedly. So from 1930, it had Chase Manhattan Limited to 1986, and then changed its name. Notice the change there at the top. Chase Manhattan PLC from 1997, before the World Trade Center disaster. Changed its name just not long before, January 2001, to JP Morgan PLC. And it's not even a lawful company. Fraudulently registered. The name's completely different. The Chase National Executors and Trustees Corporation Limited. It's not even listed, look. Not even listed anywhere on the previous names for it. It's over for them. It's over for them, everybody. P&O Developments, Masonic Charitable Foundation. I could go on and on and on. You then have cybersecurity companies. So this means that they're criminals actually controlling the cybersecurity. That means they can hack anything. They're linked to, as we've already seen an example of, Pegasus. Pegasus is able to look at any devices illegally, but our international governments are all in on it. Then you have links to the pension schemes regarding the forces, so the police, criminal organisations, Forces Pension Society, and then further links to the Rothschilds Management Services, Rothschild Investment, Rothschild Asset Management, Rothschild and Sons. These are featured throughout the fraud, by the way. JP Morgan Asia Growth and Income PLC. You can see the Fleming name previously linked to it. Again, a date before the World Trade Center disaster and one afterwards. The Fleming Asian Investment Trust PLC, and then changed it. And then you have links to South Africa. Luxury Hotels. Criminal Company. Swift Incorporation to Jordan. The Royal Masonic Benevolent Institution. Care Company. St. Michael's Hospice. Independent Doctors Federation. Tying into the healthcare system. It's just blatant. It's so blatant. I think that will do for now. There's lots more. It's literally a completely criminal system. We have been completely deceived for a very long time, and this is going to end, everybody. I can assure you, one way or another, this is going to end, and you will be free. Take care.